The wife is the farmer. The wife is a farmer. The chef is the guy, the husband. This place is over the top. Single thread. In terms of small dishes, I thought about you a few times. I was like, Tom would go, can we just
You got something on your boob.
yeah, it's part of the part of the flour. Well, open it. But anyway, it's really incredibly curated. I mean, beautifully done with a lot of passion. Every detail, from the in upstairs to, I mean, woo! Yeah. They might have been at one time, but you're not getting it because it's already gone.
What was this place?
It's called a single thread, and it's a pump to table kind of operation. Extremely Japanese influence because he worked in Japan. The guy worked at Michel Bras, worked at in many top restaurants around the world, mostly in France and Japan. Everything. I had a breakfast, Japanese breakfast that was so sensational. I mean, they have like every single detail, Tom. I've been in a lot of places, you know that. I've been in a lot of those fancy places. Many of them leave you kind of, many of them leave you with like no real passion or whatever. These guys, I guarantee you, they have the passion and you feel it. It's such a big difference when you go to places like that because it's worth, now it's worth paying those extra enormous.
What does it cost?
It's $1,400 to stay upstairs, and I don't actually know how much the dinner was because my friend.
So dinner's not included.
Oh no no no
No, 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 no.
no! Breakfast is included, but not dinner. And the amenities in the room. I ask for number one. It's the biggest suite. I mean, the amenities in that place.
Pay or were they?
No, they paid for everything. The friends.
Is it brand new?
That place, no, that place is I want to say 8 years old, 7 years old, 6 years old maybe.
Kathy would know what this flower is. I can't put it in the NFL, but I know I have it. We do have it in the
Alley.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Holy.
But you should see, they have a farm and they have another restaurant. We went the night before, all vegetarian and vegan, called The Little Saint. I tell you, I've been, again, you and I have experience in many of those things. Flawless. I mean, fucking beautiful food. The
I
food.
haven't had flowers.
I'm telling you, I was like floored, and it takes a little work to get to that in terms of really honestly floored. It's called the Little Saint is the other restaurant. It's like literally you walk to it. It's like 3 blocks, not even. And they have it down to a beautiful sign. I mean,
How many people does it seat? The Saint.
the Saint sits probably. So they have upstairs and downstairs. It's a very modern kind of looking place, and they did sits probably 50 downstairs, and upstairs they have a full ballroom slash bar slash. They do music, they do bands, and they got the
What
shit
town is it?
in Pittsburgh. Very cute little town.
Was it full?
I mean, they were definitely. I mean, you gotta make reservation like I don't know, 3 months, 4 months. We've been trying to go to this place for 2 years since COVID, and we redid the reservation 3 times.
Because why? They kept.
Well, first there was COVID, then they had a fire in their kitchen that backed up everything,
Uh-huh.
and then we had something else. another
And who's the
COVID.
money behind it?
Him and his wife. I don't know who the real money is, but we talked to him. Super nice guy, very, very humble and super nice. No ego, nice.
Yeah.
Anyways, I recommend it for a couple days. Near the Moore Theater, I would go to
Serious Pie.
Serious Pie and Lola. I mean, near the mall.
Le Pichet down on First Avenue.
YouTube viewer. How about Lola, 4th and Virginia, 1 block away from the Moore Theater.
Le Pichet, First and Virginia. More theaters at Second and Virginia.
Yep.
There you go.
2 of them.
Right there. Seatown, walk up the hill. Pink Door is in the market right there.
Yeah, there is definitely a few restaurants around there.
Was that a reader? Oh, nice.
Did they get what they want yet?
And there's 100 restaurants in the Pike Place Market. So not all open for dinner, though. Hi, YouTubers.
Hi, YouTubers.
There's probably only one of you today because we're starting the switch from Friday until Thursday taping at the request of our friends at Cairo so that they have more time to edit the show.
Not that they need it, because Sean Dettori is doing so a good job, and you should hear the new music he's using.
Oh, yeah?
It's spectacular.
This was on the table when we got there. A lot of about 17 different sushi. Oh, I wonder if they need a florist. No, the wife does all that.
Maybe he needs a wife
Maybe
because the wife does all of that. Morning.
Yeah, I know.
Let me see that. And why isn't this best restaurant in America?
It is one of the top 50 that just got voted in, whatever that is.
Was it in the New York Times list?
Yeah.
This wasn't used, was it?
Yeah. This was
What was the fixed price on your dinner?
I don't know. It's probably
Yeah.
And my friend paid for all of it. Very lucky. Fortunate.
Spend it while he's here. All right, shall we get rolling here?
Yes.
Oh, that's going to sound very empty. Never mind that.
Sean's going to have
do
to
you
help
have a little
us.
bank of applauding?
Now you know how the Seahawks feel.
Exactly.
We need to run out of the tunnel.
Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum, smoke everywhere.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hot Stove Society on Cairo Radio. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Roturo, the chef in a hat.
And do we have our audience here today, Sean? Let's listen in.
Yeah. The
Oh my
arena
God.
crowd.
We are so busy.
Louder,
today.
louder. We won't come on stage unless we hear more applause.
Oh, yes. The stadium is full.
I'm Tom Douglas, and we are here at the Hot Stove Society Kitchens in downtown Seattle at the beautiful Hotel Andra, 4th and Virginia. We'd love to see you down here sometime. Today, we're taping without an audience, so you won't hear. Terry, you're off the audience motivation bandwagon.
I can't possibly have a motivation. There's nobody here.
There's nobody here. Pamela's here. Our producer's
I'm
here.
here.
Our technical producer, Sean McFadden, is here. And Chef Annie
Annie
Elmore is here in the house. So
That's a good crowd.
hopefully she's making us breakfast this morning.
She made you some rice.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
just what I need.
Boy, we have 2 hours of deliciousness today. Fall baking to satisfy the ease of quick breads. I'm going to change that around a little bit and say fall baking, a satisfying way to use quick breads.
Yes.
A tasting panel. We haven't done a Hot Stove Society tasting panel in a while. And, we get all these questions about what to buy. You go to the grocery store, you see 10, 15 different soy sauces. Some are $3, some are $30. So today we've got all of these lined up in front of us, and we're going to try and see what we think. And, honestly, I don't like when people have like 10 soy sauces in their kitchen because they can't possibly use them before they
Expire.
oxidize and
Right.
expire, right? So we're going to show you which ones. Maybe you need two, a dark and a light or something like that. So
And if
we'll
you
talk
had
about that.
them for over 3 months or 4 months in your cupboard, mix them together and use them in the next couple of weeks.
Or make a tea for your yard
Yep.
or something like that.
Nice. A
Nice.
tea for your yard.
But,
It's-
they just oxidize, and all of a sudden you're putting this year-old soy sauce on top of a very expensive piece of fish
Right.
or something. You don't want to do that. So buy them in the smallest container as possible and then turn them over more quickly. Looking for an alternative protein? Let's check out Cheeks. Pamela loves her some halibut cheeks,
So do.
and but you like cheeks of all sort: beef,
I
veal,
just bought cod. That's why I
cod
put it.
cheeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're glistening, perfect little jewels. Can't wait.
I can't wait either. And Pamela is also going to lead us through the Beaujolais classifications. You know, this is the time of year when you get the Beaujolais Nouveau,
That's right.
right? They've just harvested, they get it all crushed and pressed and put out that young juice. And it's never been my thing,
Me neither.
but I
No.
love vintage Beaujolais.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people never give it time to like age up a little bit.
Well,
People
you don't
drink it
buy-
in that
you-
first
You
year.
don't age Beaujolais Nouveau. You age the other Beaujolais.
Yeah, I understand, but a lot of people don't. Is my
Right, right,
point.
right.
Yeah, they think it has to be drunk super young, and it's delicious young, but it's even more interesting older. How to assemble a cheese board for your holidays coming your way, and turn your cocktail. Like you know how my wife loves to make cocktails and
Right,
all
right.
sorts.
Mine too.
And I hadn't really thought about this. Turn your extra cocktail, if there is such a thing, into meat brine. And so the only person I know in the world that would do something like that is Pamela, because she's a wussy drinker. She takes 2 drinks or 2 sips out of a fancy cocktail and say, "Oh, that's so delicious," and then it just sits there on the table.
Really?
And she's off into the wine world. Yeah,
Most people I
Saving
know,
room
no,
for
most
wine.
people I know who make a cocktail can't wait to have another one.
Jackie, my wife, is very much that way. And of course, at the end of the show, the wrapping up to 2 hours, we're going to have food for thought, rub with love, tasty trivia, just super fun. And I believe today our victim is going to be Chef Annie Elmore.
Absolutely.
So
Ooh.
yeah, we're
I
going
wouldn't
to,
call her a victim.
we're going
No.
to crush her like the pea she is.
Wow.
Isn't that right, Annie? Oh, she's laughing at us like
She's
no
of
way,
course
dude.
laughing.
No way. All right, my taste of the week. This kind of goes along with what we were just talking about with soy sauce. You know, you buy stuff, you see it in the store, and you kind of buy things to kind of have in your pantry. Like
Right.
I always keep a can of black beans, a can of garbanzo beans. I keep a couple of cans of diced tomatoes.
Sure.
You know, just little things.
Yeah.
Keep a can of coconut milk, but sometimes you never get to them.
Right.
So I had smoked a whole pork butt for Jackie's birthday, pork tacos, and I had half of it left over, and I diced it up and put it in the fridge. And after our long week that we've had this week,
Sure.
I got home and I saw 2 quarts of pork butt chopped and ready to go, already 6 days in the fridge. So I pulled it out, smelled it, was all fine, and then I sautéed an onion. I put the little chunks of pork butt in. And then I got into my pantry drawers and I just looked at the dates on things. Everything was still a year out, but
Sure.
whatever. I put a can of coconut milk in. I put a can of garbanzo beans in, can of diced tomatoes in. And then my favorite little simmer sauce is from Maya Kamal.
Yes.
And there's
I
a
love
bunch of
those.
yeah,
products.
they're really good.
Love
And
them.
there's a bunch of different flavors. I honestly, sad to say, can't remember which one I used. I think it was like coconut curry of some sort. So that was kind of my baseline flavor. I put a big heaping tablespoon of harissa in there, so it had a little kick, and that gave me some pepper. Just kind of stewed it up.
Sounds delicious. The only thing I'm questioning on this is the tomato with the coconut. I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with tomato and coconut. together.
Absolutely delicious. I mean, Alvin Bedoya
I
made it
never
famous
actually have
over
tried that.
at
I need to try that.
what was the restaurant in Fremont that he was the chef at for years? The one on the Fremont, just
Ponte's.
Ponte's.
Yeah,
Alvin
yeah.
Bedoya, that his Brazilian coconut tomato seafood stew was
See, I've never put coconut. and
very
tomato together. I
very
need to do that.
famous. Yeah. Anyway, turned out delicious, and I kind of had in the house,
Right.
and I just am encouraging people to kind of take a look. You know, go through it. It's
Right.
think of it as a shopping opportunity. So next time you're at the store, you can rebuild your pantry.
Refrain yourself from going shopping one day
Yeah.
and go through your cupboard. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So it was just interesting to use all this canned stuff and then have it be really
The
delicious.
thing is, you buy the good canned stuff to start with, which is
I try,
another secret of
but you know,
you
it's
know, how-
S&W garbanzo beans. It's Muir head or Muirfield diced
Right.
tomatoes. You know, it's nothing fancy.
Okay, cool.
But the Maya Kamal sauces, if you haven't tried them, they're a great little simmer sauce.
Well, my taste of the week is a little trip down to Hillsborough, California, and went to this place called Single Thread. And if you want to treat yourself or your spouse or your better half or somebody to one of the most memorable experience, this is definitely one of the places to do that.
Recently, well, we had this reservation for 2 years with friends of ours. Kevin and Mary Case were very kind. And we went down there. We had a reservation for 2 years and we had to redo the reservation a few times. But we finally got there. And oh my God, what an incredible experience. It is absolutely memorable. Very high influence Japanese, French. So mostly Japanese, but with all the French, lots of French technique mixed into it. The food was absolutely delicious in terms of texture. I mean, first look, the presentation, absolutely outstanding. They put detail in everything. I mean, the plates are made by somebody they know in Japan from their stay in Japan. Every detail in that place is incredible. And the food came out very highly sushi oriented to start, 17 different little appetizers or amuse-bouche
Mm-hmm.
in sushi style. Beautiful presentation. But most importantly, the taste were absolutely outstanding. There was
Yeah, it doesn't do any good to be all fancy if it's not.
yeah,
If it's
exactly.
not
Yeah. Which
delicious.
unfortunately, in our experience around traveling around the world, it has happened many times that there was no backup to the actual beautiful entry to a restaurant sometimes.
Mhm.
So in this case, the whole thing had a lot of soul, lots of you could see the passion in everything that was surrounding the place, from the wife who's the farmer. So they have a farm, they sell vegetables from the farm, they also produce all the vegetables for the restaurant, all the flowers. She takes care of the decoration for the flowers, and he is the chef. And trained in France, in Michel Bras and other places, many places in Japan. Really, I just can't say enough of this. Is when fancy becomes worth going to,
Worth paying for it. Yeah.
really, really paying for it and been going there for a very special experience.
Well, that's called the Single Thread, and it's in Healdsburg. Or
Pittsburgh, yeah, and they have another restaurant which is vegetarian vegan, less than 2.5 blocks away. Beautiful space, very modern, modern mixed, and absolutely fantastic food as well. So I recommend that for another stay. I mean,
sounds like we're getting on a plane, huh, Hinckley?
yeah,
that-
I would
That
definitely.
Alaska flight to Santa Rosa's got our name on it.
It's really easy get to there, and
All
I
right.
recommend it.
Yeah, your fall baking should include some sweet and savory quick breads. We're going to talk about that when we come back on Cairo. You're in the middle of the Hot Stove Kitchen, 97.3 FM.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Sean, you're going to have to work that applause thing for the rest of the show, okay?
Well, Mr. Dettori does it too.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Sean doesn't miss that. He doesn't exit. Okay. Your fall baking, quick and savory.
Okay, here we are, Hot Stove Society Kitchen. You're in it. We're thankful for that. Hopefully, you're in your garden or your kitchen or your car or wherever you are, listening away and learning something, exploring a new idea in the kitchen, just having a ball with
And the
food
oven
and
is
wine
on.
and
It
the
feels
oven's
warm
yeah,
in
I
the
know.
kitchen.
That's what I hear from listeners. It's while they're cooking dinner
Yeah,
on the
that's perfect.
weekends. So nice.
Perfect. We wish you would kind of make dinner for us sometime. Okay. It's
Yeah.
just, the 4 tomatoes came in. 4 tomatoes and a what?
Four guys and a tomato.
4 guys and a tomato came in, and they made us lunch. And it
Yeah,
was
that
delicious.
was
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, awesome. They also
Yeah, we take lunch.
they
for
also
free.
had a little something for Miss Pam Hinckley, I think. So
That's true.
just saying. Your fall baking should include some sweet and savory quick breads. Pamela, you know that I have a fascination with this because I just think it's something that's still missing out of our grocery stores that you can
In the
find
marketplace, for sure.
Europe, all over the place. But savory quick breads.
Right.
So we're used to things like maybe almost like a banana bread being a
Right.
quick bread, right? But very little
See,
opportunity.
I consider banana bread being sweet bread, not savory.
But it's a quick bread. It's considered
Right.
a quick bread. It's like
Right.
you mix it all together. There's no yeast. There's no,
Right.
right? There's no nothing. I think quick breads generally are baking powder or baking soda based, and
That's
So-
where you get a little bit of that rice, and that's all you get.
that's all you need for
Yeah,
that type
that's all
of
you need,
bread.
yeah.
So I've always wanted to do a little bit more savory version, and Jackie the other day did one. I think did she bring some to you? Did you have some
Yeah.
of her
Yeah.
onion, bacon, and cheese?
It was I liked it more than you did.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of it as a snack with wine. That's the perfect time to just have that little nibble.
See, that kind of bread, I think of it for breakfast with a poached egg right on top.
Ooh,
That's what I did with it.
yes.
She made this nice loaf, lots of cheese, lots of bacon, browned onions, and then it was just a typical kind of quick bread batter.
Yeah.
And then put it all together, baked it off, got it nice and brown on the outside, and I ate it. And unlike Pam, it didn't do much for me.
Right.
From the quick bread angle of things, or from say a cheese plate or wine bread. But when I pan fried it the next morning in butter, and
Well, hello.
hello, and got a nice little toast on it, and it would have been good with an egg right on top. I
poached
didn't
egg,
do
yeah.
that, yeah. But that was interesting to me, and you could do that with any of these quick breads if you just take some of the sugar out
Right.
of the mix.
That's what I would do. I mean, that to me, I'm not a big sweet for breakfast. I'm not, that kind of heavy sugar. I'm not very good at that. But I like to take down the sugar, and it's easy to do. Just take down the sugar.
Uh-huh.
That's all you have to do, because the cake is actually leavened by baking powder, or like we said. You don't need to worry about that. It will still be working fine. The only things you have to worry about in those cakes is the moisture, the heavy moisture, to make sure some of it disappears so it actually bakes.
Right.
But other than that, you don't have to worry about that.
So when you say that moisture from what?
Or for example, mushroom. You know,
Okay.
when
If
you
you're
say
adding,
mushroom,
yeah. So you should
Saute-
saute the mushroom. Yeah. I
saute
see.
your mushroom on the side, add them to your batter, bake the whole bread, and you'll have a wonderful bread.
Yeah.
Now, if you take your mushroom and throw them in your bread, you're going to have a gooey, unbaked center of your bread. It's never going to cook because the mushroom keeps rendering their water, and that just
Right, because a pound of mushrooms, let's just say, is 14 ounces of water.
Right.
And yeah, so
it's 90% water. So
Yeah.
you're going to get same as if you were trying to do zucchini or cucumber. It's much preferable to cook those items, to seal them really quickly ahead of time, and then put them in your batter. Because I see many recipes where you put zucchini, like in zucchini bread, you put zucchini
Raw. Yeah,
raw.
just raw.
And I
well,
think it's-
those recipes are adjusted, I think, for that water weight.
Oh,
when you
for
see,
the moisture that
right,
the raw
they're
zucchini
adjusted
would
for
have.
it, but
yeah.
still, I think you get a better product and you also get more flavor, because zucchini by itself,
That's a good point.
zucchini by itself is, not.
it's
strong.
nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. It's water with a green shell around it.
It's
So let's go into other possible combinations that would drive you crazy when you had them, because that's what Pamela wants. So to me, if it's pear season, right?
Right.
Oh,
you
good
could
idea.
Easily
Forgot
kind of
about
roast pears or red wine poached pears or something like that, and then chop them up in a way that they're not minced. Right?
Right.
It's not pear sauce that you're putting into
Correct.
the bread. That's a
Correct.
whole different angle.
Right.
But I want chunks of pear, and then I'm going to add something like lemon thyme or winter savory or some other herb that matches up with the flavor profile.
Even cheese would be good. It's pear.
a little dolce, gorgonzola dolce.
Yeah.
Although I don't like blue cheese cooked into things too much. I love blue cheese, like when I put it on a big cracker, but I really don't love
Or you could do
like a blue cheese
you could
pizza.
do
or
a sheep cheese, aged sheep cheese. That
that's
would be
better.
that would be a
Yeah.
little bit stinky, and
yeah,
put
like
that
the
as a-
flag sheep from Beecher's is a really
Exactly.
nice sheep milk
Yeah.
cheese.
You could, what you could do with those pears is do lines, sliced pear instead of doing dice.
So
do-
you put half your batter in.
So you put half your butter, you put your sliced pear that have been caramelized or baked, and then you put your cheese on top of that. Then you put more butter on top of that, and then you finish with pear on top, and you bake your cake like that.
Mm.
And that would be a very
That'd be pretty.
so every time you slice, you actually have pear in every slice.
Right. And that to me is more of a wine tasting kind of cake.
Right.
It would be a fun little thing to have for your guests. Because in a wine tasting, you've literally bought the wine. You haven't put any effort in. So it's always nice when you have something like that
Correct.
to show a little bit of effort if you're
Right.
having friends over. Oh, the wines are great, but I made this cake.
Right.
So
No, that's cool.
what other combinations would
I want to
intrigue
do
you?
cranberry.
Yeah, I was
uh,
gonna
with,
say dried fruit.
Pistachio.
Sweet or savory?
Not too sweet. A little bit though.
Uh-huh. What
if-
wine goes with cranberry? Maybe you're drinking some Black Hook?
Well, I would
Order.
think Gamay, talking about Beaujolais,
Yeah.
I think a light Gamay would be
So the
a
theme
combination
today.
for that.
Yeah.
I would also think Pinot Gris would be a good, something like
white
a Pinot
wine,
Gris
yeah.
would be
Mhm.
a nice match to that. But I would take the cranberry and I would cook them gently, quickly in a syrup of sugar. So, and then with some herbs or spices, I would put a little cumin and a little cinnamon, and put that together and cook the
Cumin
cranberry.
and cinnamon.
Yeah, and I would cook that gently, and then I would take the cranberry out and use that in my cake because they would be a little bit softer. I'm not a big fan of tasting a cranberry just by itself in the middle of a cake because I find them always like, you could have done something a little bit more to that. Because cranberry by itself is not exactly the most pleasant thing in your mouth. But once you do a little syrup with some spices around it, you could even, make the syrup as light as you want on sugar, and then just spice up the cranberry and soften them
Yes.
down a little bit. So now they have flavor and by spice.
When I'm doing food like that, I always prefer things like prunes or apricots, where you can actually get a distinct flavor.
Right.
And the other one that you can't forget about, is dried tomatoes. They
yeah.
are sweet and savory at the same time. There's just a natural sweetness when they're dried. I'm not talking about candied tomatoes, but just dried, sun-dried tomatoes can be sweet and savory.
Anything dried that you've dried in the summertime can be used for those bread right now. That would
Dried tomato and black olives, like a Kalamata olive bread, would be.
And then you
That's
put
the
little
money.
little anchovies on top before you bake.
Anchovies would be fun. A little fennel or fennel fronds in there
I'm
would
already
be
there.
would be
I'm like,
delicious.
damn, I just had the pizza instead of breakfast.
Well, that's what is that pizza called that they have the anchovy and olive and tomato on?
Enchoyade. No, oh my God, I just lost it.
Me too. So anyway,
The piece of dare.
yeah,
Piece out of here,
exactly.
Thank you.
Enjoy your fall with some quick breads. Be a little creative. It's not expensive.
Yeah.
If you mess one up, use it some other
If you
way.
mess one up, you still will eat it no matter what.
Start with
You made it.
pumpkin, though. That's what inspired the whole thing, a pumpkin bread.
Pumpkin bread.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
When we come back, it's getting cheeky. We're going to get cheeky with it on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
There it is.
I always thought it would be nice to have Tom and I at halftime of the Super Bowl and do a cooking video.
With a dance.
That is a great idea.
Yeah.
For like 20 minutes and really impress the world with the.
We'll do a wing demo.
No, what we do is we do the same thing, same ingredients, but we just make 2 different dishes. And in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I think it would be the most entertaining
And who's
thing
With Beyonce
with Beyonce
singing
Coachella.
Queen Bay behind us going?
it. So good.
How about every 2 days, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Every title of every news I was getting was Taylor Swift is coming to Seattle. And I'm like, what? Make that such a big thing.
Well, she
has all 10 spots. in
has
that.
all 10 spots on the top 10 list on Billboard chart right now.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
Never happened before. Taylor
Gee.
Swift.
Wait, she
I
has the
gotta-
first 10 spots?
All of them. First time ever.
That's why she's in the news.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
We got
How do you do that?
album, Sean. We got to pull it up today and listen
Wow.
to the album. No. Yeah.
That is some serious.
You better be looking through the food dictionary.
She did her.
Doing some cramming. Doing some cramming.
She crammed for the soy sauce segment.
Did she? Is she going to come on for that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You, Terry can loan you his Larousse Gastronomique book that you can read before the end of the show.
No. Today it's all from the Oxford.
See, there's the
Companion.
Oxford Dictionary right
Oh,
here.
wow. We all need
We
to
don't want to
read it.
embarrass you too much.
Yeah. I'm sure he's really worried about that.
Yeah, Sean, it is midnight.
Tom, are you going to this tomorrow night? I mean, Saturday night to.
I'm teaching here Saturday night.
Oh. What's his name? Almo?
No, he invited me.
Yeah.
Did you,
Yeah, we're going.
Oh, you're going.
Yeah.
Good. Did you agree to do the dinner next year too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's doing.
I'm going to
dinner.
be in. I'm teaching here is why I couldn't go, and then I leave for Arizona on Monday.
Oh, okay. But next year you're doing the dinner, right?
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody else.
I don't know if we're doing dinner or if we're doing the demo. I'm not sure.
No. We're doing dinner. I think we're just doing we're designing the menu.
Oh,
And then
okay.
we'll be in the kitchen and they produce the dinner.
Okay, I'll get the detail this weekend. Well, impressive.
What's going on there, Pam?
I was going to try to watch a Taylor Swift video, but we should really do the show.
And we're back. It's the Hot Stove Society show.
Yeah.
Pamela is listening to Taylor Swift. Terry is dreaming about his dinner down at the Single Thread down in
Yeah.
Healdsburg, and I'm just carrying the business.
Doing the work.
doing
Thank God
the-
you're here,
doing the
Tom.
heavy
Thank God,
lifting
Tom.
here. I'm going to turn to Pam for this because she is nutty for cheeks, and I will say I love pork cheeks and beef cheeks, but I've never really gotten into the halibut cheeks or the cod cheeks. And the reason I would say is what I have to learn to do with them is cook them in a different way. Because I think I don't braise fish very much. And I think the braising the cheeks of halibut or the cheeks of cod is very different than, say, grilling a fillet.
Yeah, and I think treating chicks like you treat a piece of fish is absolutely wrong. It's just not. It's just not right because first of all it's tighter of a meat,
Tighter and leaner.
leaner. So you don't want to treat it like a piece of fish. You want to treat it like something like you're gonna braise, like you're gonna cook slowly. It's better to bake a chick slowly than it is to sear it in a pan with just butter and like you would a piece of fish.
I mean, it works, but
it does
I'm
work,
just
but
talking about
it's-
my preference. Yeah.
It also gives you a piece of meat that is much tighter and tougher than if you braise it.
So, Pamela, why are you into? I mean, you can afford and buy anything you want. Cheeks used to be a byproduct, but now they've become kind of this in thing. Why
Yeah.
do you like them?
I like them because they're fast and they feel light and healthy, and you can add any kind of topping to them. But I brought it up because 50% of the time with halibut cheeks, I messed it up. But I think it's because I'm sauteing them too fast in butter. I do have luck with broiling. I
Uh-huh.
like broiling fish,
Yeah.
but
That's such an
Um,
East Coast thing, broiling. You don't
yes.
hear that very much out here.
no, I broil most of my fish. But this week, it's because Shoreline Central Market had cod cheeks, which
Mhm.
I've never seen. And I think what makes a difference, these are small.
Yeah, they're much
Tiny.
you know?
smaller.
They're about
yeah.
the size of a silver dollar.
Yeah. So I feel like those I might be able to saute
Right.
successfully.
And I would
but-
treat them like you would treat a scallop, where you seal them.
Yeah.
Opposite to what I was just saying. I was talking about halibut chick before, which are much bigger. But those little ones, you can actually seal them and then put them in the oven for a couple of minutes on a pan because you get your searing down, and then you
And
put them
then,
in the
yeah.
oven and finish them at 350 degrees for just a few minutes, and it cooks really fast. Cod happens to have a little bit more fat than halibut does because halibut doesn't really have any fat, so it's a lot easier to finish in the oven, to sear first and finish in the oven, and it gives you a very tender cheek, like you would a scallop.
I saw the cod cheeks over at Wild Salmon and Fish Market the other day, and they are no thicker than a quarter inch.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, were yours thicker than that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yours,
yeah.
how thick were
Oh,
yours?
they're
Half
they're
inch.
probably not quite an inch.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, that's big. That's much
Yeah.
different.
oh,
Maybe
really?
Maybe mine had been butterflied or something. The ones that I
Yeah.
saw. So
Yeah, usually they're that's about how thick.
Yeah,
and
that's
like a
that's
scallop,
how thick I think a halibut cheek is, which is about an inch thick.
right. But
The
these
cod cheeks are, I don't know.
they're more fat. They cook differently for
Uh-huh.
sure. But you can still braise them if you want to do a braise. The problem is they're not that big, so they will cook really fast.
really fast.
So what are you seeing on pricing? Is our halibut when you're going to the supermarket or to the fish store down at Mutual Fish, you'll see halibut at say $30 a pound. What are halibut cheeks at? Is it a more economical cut?
No, not in
They're about the same, huh?
They're about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cod was $10 a pound.
So it's
was, I was getting salmon too, which is 40. So it's like,
Well, you're buying expensive salmon. I bought a beautiful coho the other day for $8.99 a pound,
Well, because you're
Oh.
buying.
but I was
coho.
in the round.
Well, you're buying coho. She's not buying coho.
I'm
Yeah,
a
Sorry,
she's
White King.
White
yeah.
King, yeah.
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 Marble King. Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I overcooked it.
What?
Maybe you should get a meat thermometer. 'cause,
Yeah, I was gonna
oddly
say.
enough, it works on fish.
I have one, but now let's
no,
go.
No, but you got to use it.
that was the problem.
I mean, the first step is to have one. The next step is to use it.
Let's do pork cheeks now.
Okay, I'm going to turn to Terry.
So
It's-
pork cheeks, I like to rub my pork cheeks with, whatever. I like to give a little heat, not too much, because I'm not.
you know what that sounds like, Chef, when you said you like to rub my pork cheeks?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Rub the pork cheeks
Okay.
and rub the pork cheeks, and I like to give it a little sear in brown butter, and then finish them in the oven with just a little bit of white wine or red wine or maybe chicken stock if I have some chicken stock in the house. Put around the base of it, and of course I've got some sliced onion in there. Put that in the oven at about 350, and then cook them until they're totally tender. And again, meat thermometer 160, 165 is when I'm going to pull out. Let it rest. Reduce the juice down. Little nugget of butter, and I got beautiful.
So when you're buying those, Chef, are you are they pre-silvered? Because sometimes cheeks have some
It doesn't.
some silver, but
yeah,
because you're cooking them well done, it doesn't make as much
it doesn't make as much difference. But
because it's going to tenderize.
if there is a silver skin on anything that I buy, I'm going to take the silver skin off.
But you don't need to, like the lamb shank or.
I didn't say you need to. I said I
okay.
will.
Okay.
Mainly because I know how without taking 3 pounds of the meat off.
Hmm.
So because I know, because I'm used to it, I can just take my knife, take that silver skin off, and it just be easier. And just to me, it's like I can, so I do.
Right.
But you don't. You're right. You don't have to if you're going to cook something all the way.
If you're going to braise it all the way, that'll
like a
braise
leg of
down.
lamb and everything. You don't need to butcher a leg of lamb to the meat only, which is ridiculous when I see that, because I'm like, you're going to cook this thing all the way to the end. It's going to melt. It's going to be soft. It's going to be totally tender by the time you eat it.
But if you're going to eat your leg of lamb medium or medium rare, you have to clean it up.
If you want it medium rare, it's not the cut you should use.
Right.
You should use a different cut.
You should
Good
use a rack of
point.
lamb. Yeah.
It's the wrong cut.
Okay. Same thing with beef cheeks, right? They're about
Correct.
from a pork cheek would be about, if you wanted to think about it, it's not even a cup size or
Right.
so. A beef cheek would be more of a half pint size.
It's bigger.
yeah.
And same thing. I like. We used to do
It's
that.
not something to serve rare.
Oh no, you have to cook that all the way. You can't serve even medium rare or medium. Cook it all the way. It's not that kind of meat. That kind of meat is meant to cook all the way, mostly because you want it to be tender. You also want to get that braising flavor that you have in your pot, and with your stock on the bottom or your wine, whatever you have. You want to acquire all that flavor through, and most importantly, you want it to be. It should be like almost like a fork out meat. You take your fork and it's fork tender. You just go right through it.
So think of at the end of the day when you're doing let's just say you're used to using a 7-bone chuck roast
Uh-huh.
for your pot roast.
Right.
Really, you can do exactly the same thing with beef cheeks.
Right.
And my guess is they're going to be half the price.
Oh, I mean, a rack is very expensive.
Uh,
A chuck roast is very expensive.
that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying the beef cheeks would be half the price.
Yeah.
The only real difference is at the end of the day when you're done braising, the meat, if it's cooked all the way, it'll still shred in more stringy
Correct.
kind
In
of
length.
scenario. So you want to cut it across the grain.
Correct.
Whereas with a pot roast, generally you don't have to think about it.
No, that's the only thing. Yeah, it's stringy in some ways, but makes great tacos. I mean, you string that meat, it's fabulous for that. Or you
Mhm.
could do, you could put it
Just
in
cut
soup.
across the string. Cut
Yeah.
across, just like you do a flank steak. You cut
Right,
across the
right.
grain. Yeah.
And you can, the next day you can put some in soups. Like you can do a nice little bouillon and, like a broth and put the beef in there or the pork in there. It's really a nice added addition to the soup. Gives more flavor and a little texture. Put some vegetable and mushrooms in there. Be done. You have a wonderful soup on your hand. It's winter time. Let's start thinking about all these beautiful things.
Exactly.
That
But
makes us
now
feel
I'm
good.
a little confused because you're saying cook all the way. It's more than just the temperature. You're looking for a change in texture
Yes.
Yeah.
too.
The
So like
text,
pot
big-
roast, right?
But see, you've
Or
always
brisket.
told me that my pot roast is dry and overcooked. So
Uh-huh.
is it because
Oh, there is such
I-
a thing as overcooked.
Now
regardless.
can we just stop the show for a second? I've always told you that your pot roast is how many times have you made me pot roast in your
probably
life?
12.
That's not even true. I do think that
Well,
there's ways to overcook your braised meats.
Yeah, tell
Yeah.
me when to stop because
Well, it's like when you're cooking brisket or something. There's a point when the meat relaxes, right? It's been cooked long enough at a temperature that is suitable that the meat relaxes, and you can do a brisket on a smoker for 12 hours, but it has to be at that 250 to 275
make
area,
sh-
and then it will relax without braising for a second, right? So
lower temperature.
you can do lower temperature, and then just the thing is, I wouldn't say it gets dry so much as it gets mealy and mushy in your mouth. It's
Right.
overcooked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
a lot of people overcook
That's right.
their braised meats.
You should still use your meat thermometer and use that as a guidance. So when you get to 165, you should definitely take your pot roast out, let it sit, be nice to it, let it rest. It's been in the oven for a while, and don't go too high on heat. Because I think that's another mistake is you're not in a hurry to do that kind of braising.
Right.
You have to go slow, because if you go slow, you're giving the meat a chance to actually cook on the inside, to the temperature to get all the way on the inside slowly, as opposed to sear the outside, and then the heat is so strong, and by the time it gets to the center, the meat is way overcooked.
So what temper are you braising at?
Uh,
You're in a
In a Dutch oven.
in a Dutch oven in the oven?
Yeah,
Yeah.
375.
Yeah, that's too hot.
It's too hot.
300, 325 at
Yeah.
the very top.
Exactly.
I think I just learned something very important.
Okay.
It's going to make a much more delicious winter.
Just start an hour or two earlier.
Yeah. And go
And
slower.
If you're
Fry it-
trying to go home at 5:30 or 6 and then
Make
make
a
a pot
pot.
roast, you're
Not
in trouble.
happening. No.
I got an excellent idea. Use a tagine, put it in the morning, and then come back home at night. It'd be perfect.
Low.
There is an
Slow.
entire
Slow.
wall of choices at Wajimaya for soy sauce, right? There's an entire wall.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we're going to have Annie come on and tell us a little bit about the one she brought here today. And we're going to demystify the soy sauce aisle for you right here on the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Good job. Good job. You're afraid to make that loud sound, aren't you? All right, Chef Annie. Soy. I got this in my fridge.
See, I try not to buy that one.
I did not buy this. It's a small pack. Very small.
Hey, anytime you're ready, Elmore, take your time. I know we're not important to you, but our listeners like us. Annie got herself a pair of Edna Mode glasses for Halloween, and she had her hair all cut. You're right there.
Now, how do you want to do
Oh, we should do our little.
rice? I want to hit my head.
You try them all already, Annie?
I have not. But I
Way to be prepared.
tried the other two though, the real expensive one you brought in for the past. That was super delicious.
Isn't that interesting? But you can see where it could get overwhelmed really easy.
I know, but it's so good. You don't need a lot though.
You don't need a lot, but if you try to identify it in a stir fry, it's not really
Yeah, no. I just put it over like plain rice or plain noodles. Like,
I would have touched them anyway.
That's my bad. I'm the producer.
I make the rice. Give me some credit here. Yeah, you don't want too much of that.
There's nothing natural.
There's no way I would put my fish in.
It's for marinade. It's not really for eating.
It's not very,
Like
it's not very pleasant for
steak,
eating.
no. But it's great in marinade for the color.
Right.
Because it's a lot darker, so you can really see
But you
that
can
dark
just use
color.
caramel sauce. You can buy caramel sauce for the color. That's all they're using.
Yeah, but you get the soy flavor in
I
it too.
love this brand. This is like the first Chinese food so I used to buy it while Young Grocery down in the International, which is now the Wood Museum.
Oh,
They
really?
have that little grocery there. That was where I first started buying Chinese
Wow, I
stuff.
didn't even know that was a grocery store before.
So molasses, soy sauce, salt.
Yeah, molasses is the first one.
That's why she likes it.
Oh, another one that can I put on there? It's the Malaysian or Indonesian one. It's the sweet soy. Can I put that on?
Oh, that's
I'm double dipping. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry.
This one will taste like a little softer.
You gotta remember what Kikkoman tastes like.
I hadn't thought about it oxidizing.
Yeah. Just like, we keep sherry in a bottle on our shelf for how long? All of our vinegars.
Chef Terry, your tongue gonna be all numb after this. Yeah.
Called soy sauce.
No, that's not true. There is something there.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it's thick, but it's really delicious and it's sweet.
Wow. Well, that is really interesting. Why they white?
It's almost like molasses. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
it's super good, huh? We put it on our crispy rice cake for the loft bar.
And it's actually interesting.
So good.
Well, they call it soy base.
I want that on a pear or
Sugar, palm sugar, sodium sulfite,
There's no soy in there.
soy extract, water,
Soy extract.
salt,
Soy
caramel
extract.
color, sodium benzenate, citric acid, xanthan.
You know what?
Xanthan is what gives it the thickness.
You know what they did? They fabricated the flavor. I could make you something that would be a little bit more natural with the same kind of profile. Who needs that, right?
Yeah.
this one I remember.
That one is so delicate and light.
Just like this is cherry blossom. So good.
Yeah, it's really
Oh my
delicious.
God.
It's also $30 a jar.
But why is
That
it white?
one?
How do they make it white?
They just don't add color.
Or they might not ferment it very long either.
I have this in my fridge. I don't remember that tasting like that.
I think it might be aging because smell it. It
Like the fermented.
yeah.
Yeah, Pam detected it yesterday when she opened it up. She's like, it has that fermented smell.
It does.
Does?
Yeah.
Smell it. Okay.
I have a hard time reading YouTube.
Yeah.
Really? Please read us just one word. Soy.
You can read that for me, chef.
Found
Chinese are they read up and down, right?
we also,
Left to
Sean, we're going
right.
to taste the low sodium one, so that might.
I thought in Chinese it was up and
Yeah,
down.
up and down, no?
Yeah, but also left to right.
So Annie did a little research if you want her
Yes,
to do a couple.
we'll go through them.
Okay. Wow.
Oh. Try.
Terry's been doing this a long time and he still won't speak directly into the mic. So,
Well, I do.
Annie, bring it up to you
Tom,
all the way,
It's
This is
all the
putting
way
you-
right?
up.
An inch from your mouth.
It is.
Now, see
Very
how that
close.
sounds?
Yes.
Sounds way better.
Oh, I'm gonna move my chair.
What a good idea.
There we go. Mechanics are all coming together.
Should have gone to engineering school because
Soy marinero.
And a listener wants to talk about a less salty approach. I don't know.
soy
if it-
sauce.
Yeah. if
You'll bring that up at some point?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we are. It's the hot stove. We're getting salty. First, we got Cheeky Now we're getting salty with it. This is like a intimidation show. We're getting
Yeah.
salty with you, cheeky with you. Blah blah.
I
blah,
wonder
blah,
what's
blah.
going to happen next.
Yeah,
We
I
got
don't know.
grit.
We got grit
I'm going
today.
to get queasy.
I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Terry Roturo, the chef in the hat.
Pamela Hinckley's on the mic over here producing, and Chef Annie Elmore, the director here at the Hot Stove, is sitting in the hot seat. Annie, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Will you tell people that you really do like me and that I really do like you?
I love you.
Yeah. So
With
Oh, this is a
all
good
my
morning.
tiny little heart.
there you go. You are tiny.
You love him with a little soy
Which,
sauce.
the best news about all of that, it turns out I didn't even know you had a heart. So that's
Oh,
good,
wow.
even though it's so tiny.
It's very small.
So Annie, you have brought us some soy sauces here, and when I go to shop at Wajimaya, and we've heard this from our listeners, from our customers, like, how do you know what to get? Because soy sauces range anywhere from Kikkoman, which is I think made in Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken, and all the way up to this fancy cherry blossom shoyu that we have, which is so dynamic and delicious. But you wouldn't use those two in the same spot, right?
Mhm.
So tell us what you put out here on the table and kind of what they represent when it comes to soy sauces from around the world.
Well, I mean, to me, soy sauce is like a seasoning, in a lot of things. It's add umami flavors to food, and saltiness, of course, and of course, like depending on what soy sauce you use, it has a different flavor. So some gonna be a lot sweeter, some gonna be a
Uh-huh.
lot saltier, some gonna be a lot more intense flavor in soy, like dark soy or black soy, as opposed to light soy. So Pam picked up all these soy here range from low sodium to black soy. We got sweet soy, gluten-free soy, really expensive fancy one that Tom bought for one of his class. I don't know how much you pay for that.
$30.
Yeah. So, and I had a friend who went to Japan and bought me wide range of soy sauce before. Some of them were like $75 a bottle even.
Yeah. And soy sauces are brewed, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know how like balsamic vinegar is, the expensive
Right,
things.
right.
Yeah. So for us, it's soy sauce.
Mhm.
Depending on how long it ferment, how long it brew, or how it brews, small batches or big batches.
The type of rice
Yeah.
or soy, if it's polished or not. I mean,
Yeah. So one question that Pam asked me yesterday was, what's the difference between shoyu and soy sauce?
Mhm.
Soy sauce is, some people use that, like those two terms, but they don't really know exactly what the meanings are. Shoyu is a Japanese style of soy sauce. Even though soy sauce was invented by the Chinese people, because they have been around a lot longer than Japanese people. So, of course, Japanese people always like to make their own thing and be more original. So they took that concept, but what they did was they used the sea salt, because they surrounded by the sea, that used to preserve the soy sauce, and they use koji in there for the fermentation, and they also use wheat to help adding that sugar content in there. So there's soy sauce supposedly a little bit sweeter than the Chinese soy sauce. So when you do go buy it, you want to look, like, is it Japanese made or is it Chinese made? And you can look at the ingredients. But here's the thing, like the Chinese one, I don't know. So a long time ago, originally when they made it, of course, they just cooked the soybeans, crushed it, and then let it ferment and add lots of salt to it
Mhm.
for preservative. Leave it in the sun in this kind of like that container you have behind you.
Like
It's
a
like a
vase?
ceramic
Yeah,
Mhm.
ceramic pot.
in the sun, and the sun will help to like preserve it and breaks it down and turn it to soy sauce. But nowadays, because of the commercial, they need to up that production,
up the
like
process, yeah.
yeah. So then they add wheat to it, to because
Oh,
the
so they
sugar
did-
helps.
They did not originally have wheat.
No.
Ah, okay.
So yeah. So now they add a lot more wheat to it, and that will help to ferment a lot,
Faster.
brew a lot faster.
Of course.
So then where does tamari come in?
I'm not sure. That
Okay.
one thing is funny because well the
Because
thing
it's gluten free,
here,
right?
well here's
No
the thing.
No wheat.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
wheat in it. Yeah.
Right.
So originally, as you see, soy sauce supposed to be gluten free
Uh-huh.
because they don't use wheat in it. So back in the old day, without wheat coming in handy, and that's something that they did. They just fermented and or brew it in the sun with just soy, salt, and water. That
So
was
now
it.
you're Asian, but you're from mixed cultures, right? You're
Yes.
Lao, Cambodian, Chinese. Are you Vietnamese too?
Yes.
Yeah. Is soy sauce used across Asia like we use salt?
Mhm.
But is it like every dish has it basically? Or is it
Well-
more of a table condiment?
It all well, as you know, all the countries are very neighborly.
Mhm.
Like so, depending on which
At some points they are.
Yeah.
Other times they kill each other.
Yeah. well back in the days, but depending where your borderlines, that you're gonna marry some of that flavor into your cuisine and use some of it in
So,
there.
so you are going to cook with it
Yeah.
and then put it on the table also, or
Both.
not? Both. Okay.
Both, yeah. Sometimes you put it in the dish, but you still serve it on the side because you can't really taste it. We love dipping sauces, so we love to dip things in like meat, even though it's already nicely marinated and everything. We still have a little dipping sauce to dip things in there, kind of like you guys with ketchup.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I love. This is why I like tamari about, because I think tamari is more defined, more refined than all the soy sauce in general.
You like tamari?
Yeah, I think it's very refined in terms of, I don't know, in terms of seasoning at the end, like dipping as a dipping sauce.
To me, tamari is a lot more saltier because
It
it
is.
doesn't have that wheat or that sugar added.
Right.
So when I go buy soy sauce, this is something that I'm more used to. I like a little bit of the sweeter side. So I always tend to look for one that has a little bit of sugar in it. But
Well, you
know,
brought one today.
Yeah.
yeah,
What is that one that you love? You said you love that on rice.
yeah. Well, yeah. That is like a Malaysian, Indonesian. They love using that in
Sweet soy.
everything. Yeah, very like on chicken. On it's you can't really cook with that because it's so thick, but it serves more like a marinade and or a dipping.
It's called
thing.
ABC. That's the brand.
Yeah,
ABC sweet soy sauce.
yeah,
And the first ingredient is sugar.
Yeah.
So, and then there's soy extract, and then there's more sugar
yeah.
and
And
caramel.
like it's so thick that like it's so nice to coat on things rather than
Mhm.
like regular soy sauce is very watery. It's harder to coat on things, so that's why you want to use black soy sauce if you need it to marinate anything to bring that color of soy out. Because sometimes if you just use regular soy, you can't really have that nice dark color in there. So there's this one dish that in Chinese they call a red pork.
Red pork. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
red pork. Yeah.
And you need to have black soy to bring out that really dark, deep color. If
Mhm.
you just use regular soy, you're not going to be able to see that. It just looks really bland.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't really taste different because of that dark, deep color is often literally an additive of caramel color,
caramel
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I read up on it last night about the black or dark soy as opposed to light soy. So the interesting thing that I read about was that the black or dark soy has more sodium content in them than the light soy,
Uh-huh.
right? But when you taste the black or dark soy, it tastes a little bit more sweet, less saltier than the less sodium one. It's
So it
because
tricks you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's because there's so much soy flavor in there, it overpowered the salt.
Mm.
So it kind of make you think like, oh, I'm not eating a lot of salt. But
Right.
yeah. But so then again, the light soy one, because it's so light, you can taste the
So I
salt
want to
more.
get to your recommendations before we run out of time. So if you were to have 2 soy sauces in your house,
Mhm.
I mean, at home I have a preserved black bean soy, I have a mushroom soy, I've got all kinds of different soy sauces. Keep them all in the fridge, by the way, so that they don't oxidize
Yeah.
too much. But if you were to pick, we have from Kikkoman, which is in every American household, it seems
Yeah.
like, all the way to this fancy Japanese cherry blossom soy, which would be a sin to use this anywhere but where it comes out on its own.
This
Yeah.
is what I would
But
use.
it's worth having, though.
Right. I would use that with sushi. That would be a good, a little
Mhm.
piece of fish dumped in there would be.
Yeah, certain
Fantastic.
fish would be good with that. So what would you put in your household, Annie?
So right now in my household, I have the ABC
So that's
for
the sweet.
sure.
Mhm.
That's a sweet one. And then I don't use tamari. I really don't like kikkoman. I do like this. I don't. Here's the thing: it's like all the soy sauce are different prices, right? You want to go a little bit more money, like at least close to $10 or at least 750 around that price range. You don't
Mhm.
want to go any less than that because you're just getting salt.
Right.
So in that price range right there, I would like to use that one is
The
not.
Yamasa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one is not bad for the price.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It's Sanjay and organic shoyu.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. All right. So that basic one, a sweet one, and then you seem overwhelmed by the cherry blossom one. That was, I think, I said because I paid for it and not you, because Annie is the cheapest person I know. So she's very frugal with $1.
Yes.
Hey, this is very delicate. I mean, it's
Huh?
got
Okay, so chef, tell us the name that you're recommending so people know what to buy. I at home buy the Chinese Pearl River soy sauce.
the one then you recommended, Sanjay. Sanjay organic shoyu, I think is very delicate of a soy sauce. It's not. I mean, some of those sauce are to me are way too salty. I mean, it's
Mhm.
really hard to match for me in my style of eating.
Mhm.
It's hard to match. Even when I go to sushi restaurant, I don't dip in
Yeah.
soy sauce. I just
Yeah,
eat
me
my fish
neither.
like that. So
It makes sushi chefs crazy when you just
Yeah.
drag their nice creation
Yeah.
through wasabi and soy sauce. In our second hour, we broadcast from our studio here. Sean, I'm going to do that again because I'm full of soy sauce. Coming up in our second hour, we continue here from the hot stove at the Hotel Andra, and we'll dip into alcohol-based meat brines, the classifications of Beaujolais wine, and construction of an excellent cheese board. On Cairo, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Yay, Annie.
What a nice transition.
boozy
Is
brine,
this our breakfast,
Yeah.
Annie? Really?
Yeah.
rice.
How do you
So,
stay
yeah.
skinny? When I eat rice, I just blow up.
To me, it's not the rice. It's a glass of water that goes with it.
Put butter at home. I'm not coming to your house.
You know why I started thinking about soy sauce, and I didn't come up with a way to work it into the segment, but I was reading on Epicurious that you should use a teaspoon of it in your chocolate frosting, and I get that why it would add a nice little backbone.
Yeah.
Did you try the cherry blossom on the rice?
No, but I mean I will.
I can't believe how much cherry comes out.
It's a beautiful product, but this just reminds us to read your labels. 'Cause some of those things that start with sugar, they're going to be completely different.
Yeah, no kidding.
Boy, water, wheat, sea salt, fermented alcohol, soybeans, cherry blossoms. That's pretty clean.
Yeah. That's why it's not dark because it doesn't have the coloring added.
Is that the brand Eliza from Chef Shop has got it's been talking a lot about her new Japanese products.
By the way, when we had the little thread, single thread, all those Japanese places no soy sauce.
At all.
Only one time we had the soy sauce that was pure. It was really none of this come up to it. It was very lean and not strong on anything. It was really, really well balanced.
Was it light like cherry blossom one or
Yeah. I haven't had a breakfast like this in quite some time. As a matter of fact, never.
It is nice to start the day with a savory breakfast.
I tell you, that Japanese breakfast we had there, gorgeous,
Yeah.
gorgeous, so well done. A little Japanese crepe kind of
Ooh,
yes.
yes.
Style, you know, like it's not craig, it's almost like a pancake, but very small. And then the omelette roll. Wow, the omelette roll. slice.
Was it an open kitchen?
It's when you walk into the restaurant, the first thing you see, it's a square lobby, very Japanese style, and a window into the kitchen. It looks everywhere you walk, like the details are so crazy. There's a lot of thoughts going into that place. In the suite, I mean, in the restaurant, or in the suite, or in the library where you get breakfast, the detail of like the furniture, the tile,
Everything.
I don't know. It's completely nuts. The ceiling, the panel, the Japanese panel on the ceiling, all kind of crazy detail, and it's very from beginning to end. This is when you see somebody who's never stopped thinking from the first minute, and somebody who actually understands the experience from beginning to end.
Wow.
Crazy. The ironing board in the room would fit. I mean, sturdy as hell. The iron, everything, every detail. The bathroom.
How was the toilet paper?
Oh, toilet, all Japanese. Wait, hold on. Toilet, oh, let me tell you something. Toilet, all Japanese.
Right, the bidet, the whole thing.
Warm water.
What an experience. You don't want to leave the toilet anymore.
You can't talk to Pam about that. She gets too
No.
embarrassed.
She gets embarrassed?
Look at her. She's
I
very
know.
red right now.
Why is that?
She doesn't poop, apparently.
Did you have a story?
No. I'm just very shy about bodily functions.
Oh, really? It's funny how some people are like that. That's true.
I am too.
Yeah. I don't know what you're making fun of me for.
I'm not as shy as you. That's why I'm making fun of you.
He's got one on you, I guess.
All right, knuckleheads. Let's proceed.
Okay, Boozy Brian.
Where did you steal this quote from?
No, it was stolen. It was a chef in California. I think it was on Serious Eats.
Okay. Give credit because I would never say these.
Don't say it.
No, I'm happy to say it. I just have to give credit because it's not me.
No.
What's-
Say it in your way.
What's the quote you're looking at?
That it keeps the meat moist through the cooking. It's like,
no.
Well, you can totally dry it, something that's been marinated like anything else. So
but does it actually keep the meat more moist in the cooking?
it keeps the meat more open. It opens up the pores of the meat. So it keeps it stuffed.
brining?
Yeah. So it helps tenderizing the meat or to get it moist. But once you start cooking, the moisture comes out. So
It all goes away.
yeah, but it's some of it obviously stays in the meat. Obviously, yes. But does it keep the meat more moist?
That's what I was just reading. So it's okay. We can figure this out.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's
I
more.
think that's the argument we should have.
And it was for me.
We should
it
invite
was
KG for that one.
expanding beyond beer and wine as a
Yeah,
brine.
that's what's more interesting
Yeah.
about it. to me. Yeah.
So that's
Mm,
the angle.
I got my
Here we are. We're back in the Hot Stove Society kitchen on Cairo. We're thankful that you're here. We've got another full hour of excitement and deliciousness. Pamela's going to break down Beaujolais for us. You know, she's a wine nerd. I don't know if you know that about
yes.
her. Yeah,
And her
she's
husband is a bigger one.
a bigger wine nerd
Oh,
than
boy.
she is even. She used to run the Di Laurenti's wine shop when I met her 40 some years ago. So she's been into wine for a very long time. It also makes her a little bit older than me, I think, because I wasn't even old enough to drink when I walked into the
Uh-huh.
Di Laurenti's.
I'm
wine
sure.
Right.
shop. We're going to talk about boozy brines first off. We're going to finish the hour with food for thought, tasty trivia. We're going to talk a little bit Beaujolais, and what was the last thing?
A delicious cheese board
Oh, a delicious cheese
with the right
board.
knife.
How do you
Don't forget
balance it?
that.
Yeah, I want to know the balance thing because I don't like when I go to get a cheese board. It's all cow cheese,
Right.
right? I want some balance and I want some texture difference.
I'll tell you my pet
we're
peeve
gonna-
when we get to that segment.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But let's jump right into boozy brines because people are starting to think about brines for their turkey. I have brined over the years many times. I don't brine anymore. I don't feel like it does much for me. Yeah, I'm not a briner when it comes to like the big salt brines, but I've never tried a boozy brine outside of say wine. I've never like brined in beer. I've never brined in a Manhattan or in a martini. And I think that's not necessarily what you're saying, but you're talking about taking maybe leftover cocktails and creating a little concoction out of that as part of a brine.
I guess we're all gonna have to go to Pam to get the leftovers of cocktail because in my house I have never seen one.
So Pam, you found this on Serious Eats,
Yep.
which is a fabulous website.
Fabulous.
That's where my friend Ed Levine started that website maybe 10 or 12 years ago, 15 now maybe.
Probably 20.
Yeah, and Kenji Lopez Alt came from Serious
Yep.
Eats, who's a very popular, well-known, smart food scientist, I would say in a bit, because he's always doing the lab. He's got that book, Food Lab. So what intrigued you about this?
That you could build and add another element of flavor. It started with different ciders, which will appeal to you, Terry.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think I was when you said beer, I was like, well, cider right now this time of the year, raw cider to use as a brine.
As a
It's
brine.
fantastic.
Yes.
You're gonna do a roast
like
beef,
pork cheeks, like you were
pork
talking
cheeks,
about. Yeah.
or something of that nature, like a big roast, and cabbages and apples. You put the whole thing together in the oven together, brined. Oh,
So you say raw cider, and I don't want to get too far off on this because it's only one angle that we want to tackle today. But to me, when that's going to add too much sweetness to the dish I'm going to make.
no,
Whereas maybe a dry cider, when it's been fermented to dry,
that's what I mean by raw cider. I mean one that's not sugar added,
Okay,
not
so it's-
sweet like
so it's a different kind of apple too. It's like a
yeah. I mean, I'm
okay.
talking about it's something that's really acidic and that is alcoholic and that has no sugar in it. So it's not sweet to drink. A real that's what I call raw cider. Maybe
Well, it's got sugar in it. Apples have sugar, no matter how
obviously,
tart they are.
but
Yeah,
not added.
Yeah.
Like treetop or whatever, those kind of
they don't. Yeah, I don't think
fake
they have
apple.
sugar added. It's just an apple variety.
okay. Well,
Well, we want to be sure before we say that on the
so
air.
what I want is a very acidic, alcoholic, not sweet apple cider raw, not been pasteurized, which is basically taking apple and fermenting them and get the juice out of
That's
that.
so flavorful.
Very, very flavorful and usually as the type of apple are usually the smaller apple, very, very not the kind you can eat easily because they're acidic and they produce this beautiful apple flavor. So you take that and you brine your roast in that just overnight, especially if you have like a 5-pounder overnight in that brine. And in the brine, you can add also spices or herbs. Bay leaf is always a great marriage with apple. I'm using that as an example. So you go I go in my tree or in my laurel bush, whatever you call that, and then cut down quite a few leaves and then crush them and then put them in the cider. Cracked peppercorn and coriander, toasted coriander. So put all that together and then put it overnight. Drain the next morning drain the roast the next morning, and then use that brine that doesn't have any salt in it. It's just cider. It's only cider that's in there. So you can use that cider to be able to make the sauce braising liquid for your roast. So take the roast, pat it super dry, give it a nice little sear in brown butter. I love doing that. That's the way I like to do my braising. And then sliced onions sauteed in that same butter. Put everything into the liquid in the pan. Put the roast right in there. Put that in the oven and cook it very slowly, like 300, 325, for as long as it takes until your meat is totally cooked. Then you take that braising liquid, reduce it down even more a little bit, and then add a little chicken stock or some kind of stock like that. Nugget of butter. You get this wonderful, and on the side.
All right, I just have to. We're trying to get to a cocktail brine here.
Okay, go ahead. That was my cocktail brine. Thank you.
Cider cocktail. Well, that was the next part of the article is when you think about what you could build with a cider brine, why not take that one step further with a cocktail brine?
The
Because
Manhattan brine. Yeah.
the Manhattan brine, you can build out, like you did, other spices. The one that caught my attention was the Moscow Mule because of the ginger.
Right.
Wow.
And I thought ginger would be a great element in a brine. And I love everything about a Manhattan.
Well, Manhattan has got sweet vermouth, which is full of
Right.
different herbs and stuff like that.
Botanicals.
Botanicals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, you have to be careful with raw booze because that stuff is really strong, meaning that it will eat through the meat very fast. So you don't want to do if you normally do a cider for 24 hours. You certainly don't want to do brandy for 24 hours. It will have a different results. You might end up with a pasty meat because it's already
Well,
getting too
a
broken down.
Manhattan is 1 ounce of bourbon, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, some bitters, or 2 and 2. So it's not 100% booze.
But would
true.
you
I think the
dilute
idea is
it with
that-
stock, maybe?
With stock,
Or would that change take the Manhattanness out of it?
I wouldn't dilute it with stock.
No, I wouldn't.
personally,
I would
no.
just not grind it as long. That's all.
Shorter.
And one of the good one is prune. People don't use enough prune, I think, in their life. Dry plum, and then you marinate them in Armagnac for a few hours until they totally absorb that booze, and then you cook that with your tagine of lamb. Put the prunes all around the lamb, the pieces of lamb with the vegetables in there. Oh man, when that tagine is ready, which cooks very slowly for many hours, those prunes are like totally melts in your mouth, and
There's some that I would be concerned about. Let's say you have an extra Negroni that's got a lot of Campari in it. Whereas when you cook it, it might be a little bit like hops when you cook with hops.
yeah, the
That
bitter.
it might get too
bitterness.
bitter,
Yeah,
or
not all booze
some
are.
Amaros might not work.
Right. Not all booze are created equal. You want a booze that has flavor, that is as simple of a product as possible. Because if you, like Tom said, if you had a lot of Campari or bitter or anything like this, that would definitely impair the flavor of your meat. So
But the gin with the juniper would
Yeah.
be nice.
Very nice. And what kind of meat, though?
Oh, chicken thighs. I mean, anything.
I would do it
would
with
be-
sausages,
Marinated sausage?
where you take the sausage and you just cook it and then finish the sauce in a pan with your gin. Make like a gin sauce where you do toasted juniper.
Just be careful you don't burn all your hair off.
toasted juniper, crush them, put them in the gin, reduce the whole thing down, a little nugget of butter, so you have a very strong juniper flavor.
What's the Toulouse? What's the sausage from France that's got a little juniper? Is it? It's not Toulouse, right?
The Toulouse doesn't have
There's
a
one
strong
French
juniper.
sausage that's got a juniper kind of profile to it. That would be good with gin.
No, I mean there's all kind of different ways to use them. So
All right, when we come back, it's time to learn your Beaujolais labels from Nouveau to Fleury. They go all over the map. On Cairo, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Sorry, bud, I just was trying
it's
to
cool. I totally get
go
it.
to the segment that we were.
I know. I get.
You were
was it-
teaching how to braise.
I was gonna go into and you peel your apple and put the apple's
I know.
skin into your braising and
No, but I was using cataloging that recipe, so it was good.
no,
I
I mean
just-
it's
yeah.
just I just went on a different direction for sure, but
That was okay.
we get taken into the cider part. I love it's one thing that I miss around here to find good raw what I call raw cider because when
I
I was
know when we did the crepe class last year, you were like, "Get the raw cider." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about?"
well it's when I grew up when we'd go camping in Normandy around this time of year when I was in a Boy Scout. I was in a Boy Scout for a couple of years. And we always end up next to a place where the kids from the village would have their father making cider and real good cider. And we just go and drink a bowl of that. And you're 12 years old, a bowl of raw alcoholic.
fermented.
It's like 6,
That's
7.
where I was confused about what you were saying with
6,
raw
7%.
because to me it's fermented it's now not raw anymore. So I was thinking the
Ah.
cider that like fresh press.
So they don't
apple
call
cider.
a fermented cider raw? What do they call raw then?
I wouldn't call it raw. I would say raw is just where you make your cider and it's now
Oh, that's
A-
just
apple
juice. That's
juice.
apple
Yeah.
juice. Well, that's not a cider.
it's called apple cider in the grocery store. If somebody's out buying cider, I would
Oh.
consider raw just like nothing.
See, in
pers-
to
nothing
me,
done to it.
it's not a cider until it's fermented.
Ah,
That's when it becomes a
Um,
cider. Because before that, it's apple juice.
maybe they're just mislabeling it, or maybe I'm not understanding their process.
Huh.
That could be too.
So you know
Wouldn't be
what?
the first time.
Something to find out.
Yeah, exactly. Are you ready to go here, Hank?
You bet.
All right. It's time for Beaujolais Nouveau out there, folks. And today we're going to have a little primer course on what to look for in all sorts of Beaujolais. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Terry Rotiro, the chef in the hat.
And Pamela Hinckley, our producer, who is a Beaujolais expert, is going to kind of guide us through what Beaujolais is and all the different towns of Beaujolais. I think there's 5 major towns, if I'm not mistaken.
I
but
love how you became an expert at this right
she
now.
is an expert.
I'm not. I'm an enthusiast.
You're an enthusiast. Okay, same diff.
So first of all, where is Beaujolais?
South of Burgundy and arguably part of Burgundy administratively, but not as far as the appellation control laws are concerned.
Correct.
Okay, so she's not an expert. Okay,
A
give me a break.
northern Rhone area. Yeah.
So this is the time of year when you'll see the Beaujolais Nouveau, the third Thursday of November is the typical time that the vignerons race to get Beaujolais Nouveau out into the world. And in my mind, it is not the best representative of the region or the potential of the Gamay grape, which
No,
is
it's a great marketing though.
it's a marketing device that George Dubouf gets all the credit for, because Beaujolais has gone through undulations of popularity
And quality.
and quality.
Right.
It's like our beloved Chianti when it had the unfortunate days in the straw fiascos,
Yeah.
and,
Correct.
and people started to think that that was the wine of the region. And there's been a lot of inferior Beaujolais shipped to the United States. But if you learn how to read the labels and pay attention, you're going to end up with a magnificent bottle of wine. So
So will you explain before we go off into the other ones what Nouveau is? I mean, that's fresh.
it's very fresh. It's a very fast carbonic maceration.
Yeah, it's not finished to ferment actually.
Right, and it's whole cluster, just the weight of the grapes. So it kind of ferments internally within the grape and gives off a lot of gas. And it's not pressed with the skin to pull out the tannins,
Right.
so it's juicier. And
And it's this year's crop, right?
It's-
It's like
yeah.
it's months
Oh,
old.
it's
It's
just a few weeks ago.
old,
Yeah.
yeah, 6 weeks from probably when it's picked to when you get to drink it.
Right.
But it's lively and fun and fruity.
and can be a little frizzante.
Yes.
Sometimes there's captured gas
Yeah.
from the fermentation. I with some friends, I actually wrote a play about it. And the race, remember when they sent it over on the Concorde?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, because they
Uh,
became Concord grape.
Oh, but the real Beaujolais, you'll see that. So there's a administrative organization to how you label wine in Europe that most wineries follow. The Appellation Contrôlée in France, and the designations for Beaujolais could be Beaujolais AOC, Appellation Contrôlée. So that means grapes are from all
It's
over.
like village kind of.
And then Beaujolais Village
Yep.
would be the next one. So then you've got a more constrained, lower yield, higher fruit extract. And then the cream of the crop are the crus, the
Right.
designated villages.
The CRUS.
CR, yeah, thank you. And Tom, we share, I think, affection for Morgon and Moulin Avant. But Terry, you've probably had more Beaujolais than
Well, there-
both of
there
us
is-
combined.
Yeah,
and-
like you explained, there's different layers of structure and of kind of richness in some ways. I mean, to me, the Morgon and the Moulin Avant are probably some of the top one of richness and quality in terms of Beaujolais. But there are, like Fleury can produce some very outstanding. There is some outstanding vineyard in Fleury as well that produces beautiful wines. The Moulin Avant, I could age probably up to 10, 15 years. The Fleury, I probably would keep for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, depends on the one. And then as you go down, like you said, to the village, a couple of years, it's meant to be drank fairly quickly.
Sooner, yes.
So those wines are less complicated in terms of texture and flavor, but they all have their purpose, I think.
Absolutely.
I think that, we were talking about braising meat. Once you start to get to that level, I would go, a good village would be perfectly fine with a good braised meat. You just have to pick your winemakers and your designation. But in general, that could be a perfect wine to match with that.
Well, I think in general, people should learn about Beaujolais because of their versatility
Right.
with food pairing and the lower tannins as a result
Right.
of being from Gamay.
So
I
that's
think-
just a natural Gamay trait is
Yeah.
low
Right.
tannin.
I think Gamay in general, the way they're treating them in the Rhone Valley, is probably one of the most diversified food wine.
Yes.
It goes with just about everything.
Salmon.
it-
And we
Anything.
often talk about like a perfect Thanksgiving wine is a Beaujolais.
Oh, yeah.
Because it goes with everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
roast meat, anything. And it's also a great wine to have to please everybody if you have an audience. If you have a little group of like 6, 8, 10 people who are not necessarily, as knowledgeable about wine or whatever, or don't have a palate quite extended, it's a good wine to get across. One of the first tray of Gamay is usually fruit. So it's a very pleasing, it's easier and more accessible for most people, especially when they're starting to learn about wine.
And I think the character of the fruit of Gamay, as Tom pointed out, can survive stuffing
Yeah.
and all the pumpkin-y, squashy things that
Spices.
are.
But it's
little-
still acidic enough to cut through
But
gravy. Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So
Yeah, and that's the other trace. The reason it's edible, it's an edible wine is because it's got the acid to balance it out. I think the other one that comes to mind in France is the Cabernet Franc of the Loire Valley,
yes,
the Chinons,
That would-
Chinon.
the wine like that. Those are food wine because they match with a lot of things. But I think Beaujolais in general, because it's not quite as big as Chinon, they have a more pass through just about any kind of match you want to make.
The great thing is that they're priced reasonably.
right.
Yeah.
Even the high end,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the crew
What can you
ones.
expect to pay?
The nice ones now are 35, 40 for
Mhm.
the cruise, but you could get a great Beaujolais Village for 20.
$20. Yeah.
And that.
Yeah, and buy a Magnum for Thanksgiving. Feed everybody with that. It's a great wine to use for that purpose.
Yep,
Go
so-
see Mike. Go see Mike at Pike and Western. And
Yeah, Pam's husband has Pike and Western Wine Shop. But, that's a good point that Terry just made, which is Magnum, because it really fits the occasion.
Yeah.
You've got Thanksgiving and maybe 10, 15 people around. A couple of Magnums is really festive.
A
Yeah.
Magnum of Morgon, and
Yeah.
I'm a happy girl.
Yeah. First, you have to start with a Magnum of champagne.
I like
though.
that
Yeah.
she starts with a Magnum of Morgon. I'm like, yeah, start with the Magnum of Champagne.
Well, a Magnum of Morgan, you were right. It's, you can get it for 50, $60 a Magnum,
Yeah.
which is 2 bottles, right? So
Yeah.
that's very reasonable in the world of wine.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's very reasonable and delicious, and you will have an audience that will enjoy it, which
So-
is the other part. Because not everybody enjoys a Pinot Noir from Burgundy. That's $200. So
Pam, give people a couple of brands to look for that they could find down at Pike and Western or even at their local grocery.
I can't do that. I don't have them memorized. I say go to a wine merchant that can guide you through.
And there's a couple out there that I really like. The guy I trust a lot is Kermit Lynch. So if he's the negotiant,
The
and
importer.
he brings a lot of Beaujolais in. So look for
Correct.
him as the negotiant on the back of the label.
The importer.
He might even have his own label at this point. I don't even know. But
but yeah, she's
what's
right.
the one, the Puy? There's more.
Ask your wine guru. Go have a wine guru. You need one in your life.
And learn how to read wine labels.
Correct.
It's really important
Yeah.
to understand
And
the
fun.
and fun.
Yeah.
European labeling system.
Order a Saint Amour if you're just two of you for Thanksgiving. It's a gorgeous name. And it's
You
a
get to say
beautiful
Saint
and it's a
Amour.
beautiful Beaujolais.
All right. Coming up next, we're going to build a cheese board that might go with that Beaujolais. On
Absolutely.
Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
That was fun.
I'm not a Beaujolais expert. Listen to her.
I know.
Give me a break.
If you're not an expert, you sure did well. You fooled us all.
Enthusiast. I was going down the cheese board rabbit hole because I was reading on Food 52 an article about the different knives for the different styles of cheese, either the chubby blades, and I don't have one of those that has the prongs on the
Uh-huh.
end and the holes in the middle.
Yeah, the prongs is really useful. The prong is really useful because once you slice your cheese,
Will
just
you
take-
just can you ask that question when we come back, please?
zip it up? It's made for radio.
Okay, we've done cheese. Let's get on the show now.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to do some cheese here. We've been cheeky, we've been salty. Now we're going to get a little cheesy.
We go Beaujolais, me too.
That's right. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Roturo, the chef in the hat.
Our producer Pamela was reading the website Food 52 and was enamored with. Well, she loves a cheese board.
I love cheese.
One of the things when we travel together is we start a cheese board. The first day that we get there, we go to the local market, and even if we're in Hawaii, we do it. And then we just build on it for the rest of the vacation. So
I have a question before we go any further. Do you put charcuterie on your cheese board, or do you add other things besides cheese on your cheese board, besides the garnish for the cheese?
Generally, I put one salami on it. It's not a meat board. It's not a charcuterie board.
Okay,
But
so
oftentimes I'll put one salami on it.
it's such a pet peeve of mine. It's like if you Google cheese board, I think I did that not too long ago. All the pictures that were coming up were like charcuterie, I have charcuterie and I have cheese. I'm like, wait, a cheese
Well,
board?
sometimes I put an almond on there too, or an olive. It's not an
Correct.
olive board.
No, but it's a cheese board. You're garnishing it so it goes with the
Okay,
cheese.
let's
Tom.
build a cheese board for Thanksgiving. Let's start there. And so I'm going to jump right into my first pet peeve, which is Terry's obviously got one or two. Is I like a mixture of animals and textures.
That's
So
exactly
who
how
wants
you
to
should.
start down that road?
I'll start.
Let's build a board between the three of us.
Okay,
And you pick a cheese, and then we're going to start to build on top of that.
I've got goat.
I got
Why don't
sheep.
You start then. You start.
I like an aged goat and
Like a
s-
boucheron kind of age.
yes,
Okay.
and a fresh creamy goat. So I will probably have more goat and sheep than cow
Okay.
on my board.
But
Is it-
you have to name names. You like?
Oh,
what's
you
the
want
fog?
names?
What's the fog one from
Um,
California? Humboldt
Humboldt
Fog.
Fog.
You like that
so
one?
good.
I like that a
yes.
lot,
Oh,
yeah.
so good.
Humboldt Fog is a delicious.
And that's
cheese.
100%. Does that have an ash rind too?
I want to move there.
I know you do. She's always wanted to open a hippie enclave out there on that peninsula.
Point
Like,
raised.
Point
sure-
Reyes.
I'm sure there's plenty of room.
Yeah. I went down there and it's like I had to drive to Santa Rosa to get
You had to go.
internet. I had to drive an hour and a half to get internet when I went. I'm never going back there again.
No, we had no TV and no internet. He was going crazy. We had cheese.
Okay,
though.
so we're going to start with Humboldt Fog. Do you want to add a cracker to that? Do you like a certain?
Oh, I do
'Cause I don't
want
like that on baguette personally.
No,
I
it,
like a
it needs a crisp, a
Yeah.
really thin crisp. Which one
I would do. I would do something like a hard pear, like a pear that is not
Oh.
like, for example, a commis pear that is not totally ripe. Just a
That's a
day,
great
day or two
idea.
before it's tender, and I would use that and slice that and put that cheese on top.
Okay, our first cheese is Humboldt Fog. It's kind of a firm, probably no more than 8-week aged
Yeah.
goat cheese from the peninsula and Point Reyes down there. Okay, you're next.
I'm gonna go sheep. I love sheep cheese. Larzac, which is a southern kind of France cheese, built like almost like a pyramid with ash in the middle. So when you cut through that cheese, you get that brownish kind of ash
Uh-huh.
layer in the middle, and it's aged. It's got mold on the outside and aged. And by the way, I eat all of it,
The rind and everything.
everything.
And it's Larzac?
Exactly. It's a
Larzac.
region. It's a pretty poor region of France, and they have lots of sheep.
Mhm.
And anyway, the cheese is very scrumptious. It's about, I would say, 2 months old,
Mhm.
maybe even a little bit more. So it's got creaminess, but it also has a little bit of tightness in the middle. Oh,
And what are you serving that with? Cracker, baguette, what?
well, the pear was the idea when I started back. I'm going to use something else. I would do a country. You know the bread you have at the bakery across the street,
Mhm.
the
the faceti.
no.
The country loaf.
the
Oh, the
country loaf.
Oh.
Yeah.
A slice of that really well grilled.
Okay, so you,
Because the smokiness would go beautiful with the ash and the richness of that mold that's on the outside. Oh, I would be like a hog in heaven.
all right. So I'm going to go now. I'll jump in the cow cheese.
Okay.
I'm going to go local. I like the Beecher's 4-year-old and older flagship.
Yeah.
Because it has some of that crystallization that I love, like in good Stravecchio Reggiano
yeah.
or things like that. I love that kind of aged cheese. And I'm going to go right on a Beecher's cracker. I mean,
Yeah.
you might as well get it both while you're at it.
Absolutely.
Okay, Pam, your turn. We've got goat, we've got sheep, we've got one cow, but it's a hard cow cheese.
It's got to have the best piece of Parmesan you can buy.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
36 month.
36 months from that. I can't think of that red cow one that De
Mhm.
Laurentiis has. It's about $50 a pound, but it transports you, and it has that granularity and creamy
Mhm.
at the same time.
So just to remind our listener, $50 a pound. You don't eat a pound of cheese, so
No,
let's make sure
And
we
to me, I
don't
would
scare
say
them.
that cheese you don't eat with anything.
No.
You
no.
savor that cheese on its
No.
own as
If
one bite.
anything, would be the best extra virgin olive oil, just a little drizzle
No.
on top.
Don't do it.
Oh
No.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't do
Well-
it. That should be eaten on its own. Okay, you're up next. We've got
Okay.
2 cows, a goat, and a sheep now.
I'm gonna have to go with a blue,
Yes, somebody needs a blue.
and I'm gonna have to go to England to
Mhm.
have the best fresh Stilton you can possibly put your hands on.
Colston Bassett
Perfect.
from Neil's Yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Perfect. And what do you have that with? Well, I would actually put my blue, and I know Tom's gonna might go crazy with that. A thin piece of toast, a piece of bread, thin, that's been pan fried, and then I put a little puree of marinated, branded, dried apricot,
Uh-huh.
and I puree that very thinly and put just a little layer on that cracker, on that toast, and then put the blue right on top of that.
I had apricot in my head, but I didn't have it on toast, so it sounds delicious.
Yeah, just so I can hold the whole thing together.
And that all the Stiltons are cow's milk, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because the blues out of France can be sheep's
Oh yeah,
milk.
there's
Like,
cheap blues that are absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic.
okay, so my last cheese. There's only enough time for us to have 2 cheeses. We have to have some sort of triple creme.
Correct.
Please.
And my favorite used to be the Mount Townsend Creamery right
Yeah,
across
yeah,
the
yeah.
water here, and then
really?
they had the Cirrus, and it was local. It was 6 weeks old, and it was perfect. And then they just went out of business
Oh, is that
right? I want to say about a year before COVID, they went out of business, or maybe during
Oh.
COVID. I can't remember.
I could have swear I bought some.
So, Chef, what I need from you is a name of a perfect triple creme out there, and we all know about
Mondor.
Saint Andre, right?
Mondor.
Mondor. How do you
Oh my-
spell it?
MONT, which is
Oh,
Mont
Montor.
d'Or.
Yeah.
Oh.
That
And,
stuff, man. That
I mean,
is
you take
dangerous.
that with almost with a spoon.
You do take it with a spoon.
It's like,
It's like a poisse.
yeah,
Yeah.
except it doesn't stick like that as much. But it's so delicious. I mean,
It's hard to
And-
find too.
it's very well. Yeah, you need to be.
And in the States.
you
Yeah.
need to go in France to eat that. They don't come here.
Can you tell somebody something local, a triple creme local? You can find it poisse, but to me, you have to buy it at least 2 weeks before Thanksgiving because
yeah,
it's
and you
never
sh-
ripe enough.
Yeah, and by the way, Epoisse comes out in the late spring or in late spring.
Uh-huh.
That's when early summer. That's when they make them. So you want to have it not too much later than Thanksgiving, or because it's not a cheese that you want to keep around forever.
What about that Marcelin? I think it's called.
Marcelin, Marcelin, yeah.
It comes in a little clay pot.
Sure, that's delicious as well.
It's
and that's-
delicious, and the pots are fun to collect. They
Yeah.
make great ramekins.
just keep eating the cheese. You'll have a whole collection
Yeah.
of pots.
And for that, I would definitely do a baguette. And you don't
Yeah.
need to toast it; it's just sliced baguette for a
Fresh.
big fresh triple creme.
I tell you, cheeses is it's hot. When we were in France not too long ago, you go in those stores, even stores that are like Walmart idea, big store, and you see the cheese collection. It's like 150 cheeses. And it's crazy. I mean, you're like, oh my God, it's hard to stay away.
Okay, so we have 3 cows. 2 of them, one's hard,
Yeah.
one's soft, the triple creme,
Right.
and one is the Stilton,
Correct?
right? We have 1 goat, the Boucheron, or what else did you say was
Yeah, Bouchon.
A fresh chef.
just a fresh shove too?
Yeah.
Okay,
and we have a
And
Larzac.
and the Larzac, which is a sheep's milk
Sheep-
pyramid,
Yeah.
with ash,
Yeah.
and then we have lots of little things. A favorite nut.
And by the way, the favorite Larzac in Washington State is from the Monteillet in Dayton, Washington, right outside of Walla Walla.
Ah, don't know.
Best Larzac in the state. Go buy it
Oh,
at
so
the
Larzac
farmers-
style, right? Because it
Correct.
can't be Larzac.
Right. That's true.
You know what they call it?
No,
No. Okay, that's great.
I don't know what they call it. Sorry.
All right. It's time for food for thought. Rub with love, tasty trivia. I think that probably goes the other way around. Rub with love, food for thought, tasty trivia. Chef Annie Elmore is going to rejoin us at the mic. And I would say we are going to cut her down to size, but she's pretty tiny already. On
Yeah,
Cairo
and-
Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
All right, Chef Annie.
That's funny. Hi, Annie. Can't cut you down to size because you're too tiny already. Me, you could cut down to 4 of you.
I would like to clone me.
You would like to clone you?
Yes.
Oh, that
Are
would
you
be
that happy with
delightful
yourself
if
that
we
you-
had
you
2
wanna be-
Annies.
Yeah, I can do 2
So you
jobs.
have someone. So you have someone to talk to.
Oh wow, that you took it to another level.
Okay.
How was your breakfast? Sodium and
You mean my
rice.
steam rice? Here's some ideas for next week.
Wow, this is their menu.
That
Ooh.
does not include the 17 different sushi bite we had before we started that.
That's the appetizer.
No, this is the dinner. But before
Oh.
that, we had a log on the table with like everything you can think of. Oh, I mean, just this, the menu, little flour. I mean, that's like just that menu. It's so expensive.
They don't print it every day. They just put
Well,
they insert the little card.
Oh my god. Looks like a wedding invitation.
There was a little
Where is
chocolate. It went bad.
it? Into your
It
belly.
went bad like this.
Fermented now.
Actually, it's out.
All right, we ready to
Yeah,
win this
Annie's
or
got
what?
work to
I like
do.
that. That was a good the way that round robin.
Yeah, that
good.
was
I
fun.
like that. You got to think about that in other.
That was a
areas,
very good segment.
Other areas.
All right, I'm ready. Be
You ready?
Tom
All right,
Douglas.
here we go.
Carol sent in about the Portland gobble gobble, but are you doing the Seattle one too?
Yes.
Okay, so
All right, so I'll get in on that. Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. It's brought to you by Rub with Love, food for thought, tasty trivia, spice rubs. Our family has grown to 20 different varieties, so we can help dial you up about any. I'm going to start that all over again, Sean Dottori. Welcome back. It's time for the Rub with Love, food for thought, tasty trivia challenge. Our spice rub family has grown now to 20 different varieties. We can help you dial up about any dish. Our rubs and sauces and mustards are available all over the place, including the Fairway Meat and Grocery in St. Louis, Missouri, Jensen's Finest Foods with locations in Palm Springs. There's a Jensen's in Wilmington, Delaware that carries my rub also.
nice.
And if you're in the Portland area, we're going to be down there. Carol and I are going to be down there this coming Saturday. So a week from this Saturday, the 12th. And also here in Seattle on the 19th for what's it called?
Gobble
Up.
Up. Gobble
it's an
Up.
urban craft uprising and premier food show. So Carol and I are going to be down there sampling our rubs at the convention center at the Alder Block in Portland on Saturday, November the 12th. So if you live in that area, come say hi and stock up for the holidays.
You can search the hours and location by Gobble Up.
Like gobble up.
Gobble Up.
Chef Annie Elmore, a formidable challenger, is going to take us on today. We have no one in the audience for a prize, so I'm going to ask.
Oh, we're going to send a prize to one of our listeners today.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going
Oh,
to
yeah.
ask that we send a prize to one of our listeners today. What a-
Oh,
good
God. Prescient.
Pam, you're the moderator, and would you tell us how to play and who's going to win?
This week, I used the incredible Oxford Companion to Food for the inspiration in my questions, and they are insightful. And the prize is going to be a rub trio sent to Stephen Fair because he's told us an emotional story about Beaujolais Nouveau.
Ah.
Oh, boy. All right.
Why didn't we share that? Is it too emotional?
It's emotional.
Okay.
So each of the contestants gets 5 questions, starting
Okay.
with Mr. Otero.
Go right ahead.
What is the name of the Greek sauce that uses lemon and eggs beaten into a hot liquid?
Eggs and lemon beaten into a hot sauce?
Into
hot
Hot
liquid.
liquid.
Hot liquid.
Use lemon to help guide you.
And that's Greek.
And it's
Yes,
Greek.
That's Greek.
I can't help you there, chef.
I
Don't
mean,
look-
I'm drawing a blank on.
Or maybe the soup sometimes has a similar name.
Are you just going to tell them?
Avgo
Okay, I give up.
lemino.
I give up. What is it?
Avgo lemino.
Avgo lemino.
No, don't know that.
Okay.
Huh.
Number 2.
I
What
learned
is,
something new. Look at that. I love
I'm
that.
gonna make that for you.
No, of course.
What is the most traditional bean used in cassoulet?
The most traditional bean is the very hard to find. There's only one ranch in California, and they were out for a while. And the bean is
Starts with an H.
Isn't this dishes
What?
from your country, chef?
no, I don't think so. I think it's from.
I think that was a shot over the bow right there,
Woo!
Chef.
Haricot.
No, that's haricot is a translation for bean.
It's a haricot bean. It's right here.
Right there in the Oxford Dictionary. It's an
Okay.
English dictionary. What do they know about?
Okay.
French?
What do you
This
use
is
in
only-
cassoulet?
No, there's actually.
He
a-
was trying to think of the
I
name, and
was
so
trying
was
to
I.
think of the type of beans, which is what thought you were looking for. There's actually a specific bean to the Carcassonne area that is
He
used in
can't think of it,
cassoulet.
so it doesn't matter.
Number 3. Would you serve consomme hot or cold?
Hot, of course.
The companion says either is acceptable. I want
Of course
hot.
it is, but hot is better.
I
you
think
asked me
hot
what
is
I
better.
prefer.
The hot is better. What is the name for the what is the French name for the sweetmeat composed of a nut or some other center that is coated with layers of hard sugar?
Uh,
Tom, why are you covering your face?
This is going to be hard today.
I know that one too, but I was
It
talking
sounds
to-
like it,
I was
Chef.
just talking to Kathy about they have red one in the Rhone Valley where we were, and
Starts with a D.
oh, go ahead.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, move on.
Dragé.
Okay, that's, not, that's good. That's not where I was going, so that's good.
What solution is used to soak fish to prepare the famous Norwegian dish lutefisk?
Salt and water.
Lie.
Lie.
That's a lie.
I think that's an ofer is what that is.
I've made lutefisk before,
You have?
but never with
You
lie.
didn't use lie.
No,
And you probably didn't make lutefisk.
You're not the winner today.
I would say not the winner today at all. 1 out of 5. That is ridiculous.
I didn't even think you got one. But
yeah.
No,
Oh, the consomme counts.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Just because I
oh,
love
look
him.
at her. She's
Just
laughing.
because I love him.
She's okay. Go ahead.
Annie, how do you make dashi?
Oh,
Oh, sweet question. It is kombu, bonito, and water.
Thank you. What is the Philippine cooling snack called halo halo?
It is shaved ice,
With what?
fruit and syrup.
Yep.
Woohoo!
Number 3. What is the name of the dish made with egg, milk, and flour in a batter that traditionally accompanies roast beef in Britain?
What was the batter again? Egg, milk, and
flour in the batter.
I think you have to also say beef tallow. personally.
Yeah, beef
That's what
tallow,
it's-
yeah.
That's what it's dumped into.
And it's very classic to see it with a roast beef. It's on the side.
they don't put soda in it, do they?
Sometimes
Dumpling?
they serve it in Cambodia. Sometimes it's very popular in Cambodia.
Everybody has it in Cambodia.
I was looking for Yorkshire pudding.
Oh yeah, definitely did not get that.
True or false? Zebra flesh is one of the tenderest and most flavorful of all game meats.
False.
It's true.
Really? They run so fast.
Well, you want to eat little ones.
Why do you think the lions chase them so much?
No, let's question this for a second. Who the heck has zebra for dinner?
And finally, what forms of tamarind are available for culinary uses?
Well, there's several of them. There's in concentrate liquid, there's paste, and also whole fruit.
Thank you. Correct.
Woohoo!
Wow.
Look at that.
3 out
Wow.
of 5.
Good job. You're in the lead by a
In
lot.
the lead.
You're in the lead by twice as much as me.
Hi,
I'm
Tom
just trying not to
Douglas.
go over.
What is the name of the Italian dried beef that is served sliced very thinly with a drizzle of olive oil.
Brasola.
Yes. What country
I didn't
developed
get shut out.
kakaliki soup?
What country developed kakaliki soup? It sounds Hawaiian or kakaliki. It sounds Samoa.
kakaliki?
I'm going to go with Samoa.
It is from Scotland and consists of chicken and leeks.
Different region.
Different leaky.
Completely different region.
Continent.
Different continent.
Number
Different ocean.
You were close.
I would think you eat it when you go to Scotland to
Kakaliki,
golf.
I've never heard of it.
Oh. Number 3.
But
What?
kakaliki would be a chicken and leek soup then, maybe. Right?
He's on it today.
I know. Sharp as a tack.
Why do some cuisines use monosodium glutamate?
Because it's delicious
Exactly.
and it makes you high in a different kind of way.
Does make you high.
Why do some countries use it? It's a natural ingredient. Honestly, people don't realize that it's a naturally occurring ingredient because it enhances flavor like salt does.
Exactly. Flavor enhancing compound that makes the tongue more receptive to salty, savory taste.
Some people are allergic to it.
Number 4, what is considered the most delicious part of the tarantula body?
All of it is delicious. You just have to be picky and eat the best one.
I'm going to say the lungs.
I would say the legs.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the
The
legs
inside of the
too.
legs, like a crab.
It's the abdomen. Eaten raw, it tastes like raw potato mixed with lettuce and is especially nutritious with a 60% protein content.
Wow.
What is its big natural adversary? Who eats it?
Who eats
I know
this?
people eat tarantulas, but is there
But who?
what animal eats tarantulas?
I don't know.
Don't know that either.
I need to spend more time in the wild.
Yes.
What? And finally, what is the benefit of the nixtamalization process on maize?
Well, it personally, I love the perfume that it gives. Right, when you nixtamalize, it's what they do corn for tortillas or hominy or whatever. So the benefit of maybe is it tenderizes it and it makes it digestible.
Correct.
Wow.
After soaking and cooking with lime or wood ashes, the skin can be removed from the grain and makes it easier to grind. But more importantly, it enhances the protein value for humans.
There you
So there you have it.
Ah,
Fine,
3.
fine.
Both of you
All
are
right,
So
3.
Annie and I tied, and since I'm bigger than you, I win.
Tom,
Wow, really? We're playing by
And
size?
we
We're
won't
playing
go.
by
We won't
size.
go where I was.
Well, if I sit on you, you're
thank you,
toast.
Annie.
If you want to be part of the show, you can. Let's go back that 1 second. You want to tell us who the winner is again? So Pam, tell us our winner again.
Stephen Fair.
Congratulations, Stephen. And if you email Pamela, you can pick out the 3 rubs you want in your gift box. That's what we have a new
That's nice.
gift box that can do that. If you want to be part of the show, you can watch the taping on YouTube at Tom Douglas and Company live on Thursdays now, or buy a ticket to come to the show at thehotstovesociety.com. You're listening to us on Cairo. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley, sound and production by Sean McFadden, and our editor is Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre. And remember, if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app.
Thanks for listening and have a great weekend.